We want to warn you the subject matter of this next story is graphic. According to the VA, 17 veterans die by suicide in the U.S. every day.
You might assume that comes from combat PTSD, but some are suffering from a different kind of trauma. It's known as military sexual trauma, or MST. 1 in 4 female veterans and 1 in 100 male veterans report being affected by it. And that includes a woman from Bangor whose trauma drove her to the point of attempting suicide.
Stacy Hardy lives in Florida now, and News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry has her story.
Stacy Hardy quickly rose to a leadership role after joining the Navy, but she wasn't prepared for what happened next.
I'm sure they do it in all branches of service, but in the Navy they call it 1-5 day.
Hardy explains it is a day at the end of boot camp where other company commanders come in to break the cadets down and build them back up together.
So that you become a cohesive unit and work together.
For most people, that means jumping jacks, sit-ups, cleaning, and doing whatever the commanders say. But for Stacy, it was more than that. 3 commanders brought her into the showers and told her
that I needed to earn the right. That was the phrase they kept saying. You need to earn the right to be able to tell the men in your company to do anything.
In order to earn that right, she says, they wanted her to clean the showers.
They decided to make me into a mop to clean those showers. So they went to the closet and they got the mops and they inserted them into my body.
And they used her to mop the floor.
I was sodomized. I was raped. I was degraded. Well, they laughed and laughed.
She says she tried to report this to a military nurse the next day. That nurse told her to either report it and risk being dishonorably discharged or to keep quiet.
That was a female nurse in the Navy who told me to carry on and do my job.
Close to 3 decades and a military career later, Hardy was still carrying this sexual trauma, both in physical and emotional wounds. She eventually retired and returned to Maine, but the trauma never left. 5 years ago, everything changed.
It's almost like a switch turned in my brain where I went from rational thought to non-rational thought. I had just received my prescription of Ambien in the mail, and it was a 90-day supply. And I remember thinking, what if this is not enough?
So she researched and made a plan to take her own life.
So I drove to Shaw's and I bought a big bottle with a handle of Tito's vodka and red Solo cups and a big thing of orange juice.
She went to her parents' house knowing they weren't there and wrote one note for them and another for her son. But she knew she couldn't do it there. So she went to the Bangor Motor Inn and checked in.
And I started with a handful of pills and a glass of nasty, 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 nasty vodka and orange juice. I kept swallowing the pills and drinking the juice.
At that moment, her brother, who knew something was wrong, was working with police to ping her car and found her.
They broke the door down and they got me to the hospital, where I woke up in the ICU 4 or 5 days later.
She says she remembers being furious.
I felt like I had failed to kill myself properly.
Sadly, many veterans suffering with trauma don't have a loved one who stops their suicide attempt.
I would say the only consistent baseline that we see is PTSD in some form. whether it be from MST, whether it be from combat.
Doc Goodwin is the founder of Maine Veterans Project and got an opportunity to work with Stacy. She participated in the Windy Warrior Adrenaline program and went skydiving with MVP. Goodwin says he was a little nervous after Stacy's jump because she didn't give much feedback. But about a half hour later,
Received a text message from her and she said, "Wahoo, I feel amazing." And that is kind of when we realized that something special may have happened.
Goodwin doesn't always know the extent of the trauma veterans are suffering when they come to MVP. But his MVP team works to help the whole veteran regardless, through things like recreation programs, home improvement projects, and heating fuel assistance. As for Stacy Hardy, she is still working every day to remind herself she's worth it. She says she misses Maine, but she always wanted to live in Florida after visiting a friend here. Now,
That best friend lives exactly driveway to driveway, 3 miles.
with her new husband Craig, she is living her best life in the heart of the Sunshine State. Because you don't have to shovel sunshine.
That's Jackie Mundry reporting.